All right, today we are back with the Polaris Trail Boss 330 that we picked up yesterday for $200. Obviously we knew it was kind of scrappy, beat up, but not a big deal. We didn't pay too much for it, so at the end of the day I think it was still a good deal. We looked up the price of that carburetor and it was worth more than I paid for the whole quad. So no matter what, we're going to be at a win with this quad. But today I think we're going to try and see if we can actually get this thing running or not. That's really kind of the goal. We do know it turns over. We tested when we were there, made sure that she at least turns over. I could feel a bit of compression coming out of the side of the exhaust right there, even though there's no muffler. And so I'm pretty sure it has at least some compression. So we'll do that. We will double check and see if she does have spark. He said it did, and he promised me it did. So yeah, so we're gonna check into that. And yeah, probably have to go through fuel and whatnot. But either way, let's see if this thing at least runs today. And yeah, let's go ahead and jump into that. One of the sketchiest things on here was the fact that there's an extension cord running wires here. I think at the end of the day, I think it was just to send the signal to the solenoid back here and to jump it. So I think for testing purposes, I'm probably just going to drop a battery in here for today, and I'll just be jumping the solenoid for all of our testing purposes. So let's go ahead and get a battery and do that to start.
Oh, it's so cold. 20 degrees. Okay, I got this here. Brand new Caltrick. That should be the exact size we need. Let's see if that works. Oh yeah, like a glove. I'm gonna go ahead and take this back plastic off. Get it out of the way since it's not even bolted on. Okay. Much better access. Gonna have to get my hands out. That should be enough. For testing purposes. That's one. Alright. That'll be good. Now we should be able to jump this solenoid without any issues. First off, we need to get access to that. Let me grab some pliers. Alright, should have enough access to jump it now. If we could get... Alright. Just turn it over now. I think the very first thing we're going to do is check spark and compression. That is interesting. Doesn't really feel like it clicks on. It just kind of... It feels like it's just sitting on there. Oh, man. Look what we have here. I think we have the head of the spark plug. Let me check. I'm pretty sure it's stuck down in there. Tech on it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's stuck down there. Why does this always happen to me, man? I get these and somehow the threaded portion comes off of the spark plug, gets lodged in there. I feel like most of these, when you buy them, they're like really on there. So I feel like somebody has to be like taking it off and like barely putting it on. I don't know. Either way, gonna have to do that. These are usually really hard to get out when they're stuck in there, at least in my experience. So I'm gonna look into that first. So I think the best way for getting out that little nubbin inside of there is gonna be to find a random screw that has just enough bite to it to pull it out, but not be too big and also not be too small. Something kind of like that might work. Or I'll grab a few, but it's It's got to have enough bite to pull it out, but not be so big that it won't go in. We'll try a couple of these real quick. See if we can get them to bite. I don't think you can see it no matter what angle I put it at. Maybe right there. You can kind of see what I'm dealing with. So you have the main cup, and then inside the main cup is a smaller metal ring. I'm going to try this little screw. It's got a bit of a taper to it at the end that might be just enough. I'm doubtful though. You have to get pretty lucky. You got to find like just the right size. I just realized I don't really have a way of pulling that out now. Even if it did grab. Genius. Thought for a second, maybe. Making my way downtown. Gonna pull this screw out. It's gonna be great. I really don't know if it even grabbed it. Yes! No way, we got it! Can you believe that? Now, when I stick this in here, it actually, it's actually sticking in there. It's actually working correctly, so. Okay, let's try the spark plug tester. Click that in. Can we make it to the ground? We cannot. I feel like that should work in theory. Move that cable. Alright. Try and jump her again real quick. Getting nothing at all. Alright, I ate some food and got some brain fuel. I wanted to investigate a few things. First off, I don't think we're getting any power into our, so this is going to be one of the biggest issues, is the electric control module doesn't even have power to it, and so without that I don't think it's ever gonna fly. So we need to get power to our electric control module, which gives power to the CDI, and so to go from there we have to start from the ignition. Now power comes in on the ignition on, what is it, this one, red? Yeah, so 12.5 right here, and then nothing else has power. So in order to get power past the ignition, we have to jump the red wire to this red wire, I believe is the correct one. So it should be from 4 to 2. And let's go ahead and do that. All right, so the ignition jump is going to be from red wire to red wire. What could go wrong here, right? All right, this gives, ooh, there we go. So this is the same as turning the key on, and they have the fan bypass. So as soon as I plug it in, you can tell the fan kicks on. Now that we have power to the control module, we can plug in the CDI. Now the CDI has power. I think with power to the CDI, though, I think it'll be enough. So I'm going to try hooking up, bypassing the ignition, and then try turning it over. And we can hook up our spark tester and ground it real quick. And then we need to make sure we get power to our control module with the ignition switch bypass. And then we can give her a go and see if we got spark this time. So, jump over here. Do the ignition bypass. Turn the fan on. Yep. Hey! I don't know if you can see it, but we definitely have spark now. All right. So we have confirmed spark now. That's good. We just had to do some finagling with the ignition switch, but she does have spark. That means that the CDI works, the control module works, and with the proper ignition, we could just turn on the key, and with a proper kill switch, I think everything would function on this as it should, minus a lot of the accessories because a lot of these wires are cut. But as far as your primary functions go, we have the radiator fan going, and we have, signal going for the spark. So that's good. That's actually not as bad as I thought it'd be. So now we can check this spark plug and see if it's the right one real quick. All right, let's go ahead and get this guy off real quick. Man, that's a lot of threads. Okay. The threads are not hurt. Definitely dirty. But it looks okay. Very, very rich. But let's see, we got an NGK B7ES. Let me go look at what's correct. All right, so this is a B7ES. Everything I'm looking at online says BKR6ES, I think. So, curious if this runs a little hotter or colder than what it should be, but I'm going to check compression first before I go buy a new spark plug. But yeah, I tend to like to do a new spark plug just for testing purposes. So, let's get the compression tester in there and see what she's got. I'm a little worried. Twist her in. Get those O-rings nice and tight. And it should be good enough. Well, that's pathetic. Either my tester's not in there very good, or she has no garbage compression. Oh wait, it technically is hooked up to the carburetor. I forgot. Yeah, shoot. Okay. So we have to hold this wide open throttle while turning it. It's going to be a little tricky. All right, so zip tie mod for wide open throttle here. Going to just force this to have pressure on the thumb throttle like that. And now she's stuck wide open throttle. So that's what I wanted. Now I can keep pressure on here, and if I'm lucky, turn her over at the same time. That did a lot better. We got up to 90. It's really stuck in there. Oh, come on. If I had a better angle, I'm curious if it would be even better. So using my thumb, it's pushing pretty hard on my thumb. I feel like I'm not getting a good reading for some reason. I'll try another compression tester. So I'm testing it, but I can still see air pushing out past my O-ring on here, which means it's not getting the full compression. Something about the way that this sits on here, and every tester I've tried, the seal will not sit very well. Even with the old style one where you just press it on there, I cannot get a good reading. And the fact that we're at 112 and I still see air, because I sprayed some oil in there to try and get the O-rings to seal a little better. The fact that I can see air pushing past means we're past 112. So I think, in all honesty, we're probably good, but I cannot get any of them to sit well on there, and I don't know why. It's so annoying. And if I go any tighter, it squishes the O-ring on my where it seats there. So I've seen all the way up to 112, and we're still not getting a good seal here. So I think honestly, it might be as simple as adjusting the valves a little bit to get that extra little compression we need, but it might be enough to run. So we have compression, some compression. How much, it's kind of hard to tell. I'm gonna guess we're in the like 120-ish area. And we got spark. I think it's safe to say it's worth at least getting into the carb, putting a new spark plug in there, and then seeing if she will fire, even if it's just with a little starting fluid or whatever, just to see if she'll fire for a bit. So let's go get a new spark plug at the auto parts store, and then we'll tear off this carburetor. Actually, real quick, I wanted to see if this spark plug that was in it had spark, and then just spray some starting fluid in it real quick just to see what she does, because I'm really curious. See if this has spark. I don't see. Oh, I gotta bypass the ignition. Jump. Yeah, it definitely has spark. Alright. Let's go ahead and drop this in real quick and see what happens. It's got a lot of threads before it actually connects. Alright, so just real quick, we're going to plug that in, we're going to jump it, and we're going to spray a little starting fluid in the carb just to see. Alright, see what happens. Oh gosh, it's so loud it scared me. Alright. Well, hot dang. She's going to be a runner. Believe it or not, that was just a little bit of starting fluid in there. So I did have it wide open throttle. So for a second, I thought it was just going to like roar at me so loud. Oh, it was so loud. But yeah, sweet. Okay, so I think that's all good news. We're going to have to check the fuel inside of here. And then I noticed as I was working on it that the choke cable here runs in from here, and this guy is just, what? Okay, he's been seized every other time I tried, and today must be my lucky day because he's moving. Awesome. Okay, I was gonna say I need to check that out, but honestly, all of a sudden, that's so weird. I genuinely had pulled on that so many times and it wouldn't even move. So man, okay, now I'm thinking maybe we just throw gas in there and she might run. So that'd be crazy, wouldn't it? Let's go ahead and, I don't even know, I've never even, oh, you can hear the fuel in there. There's definitely a lot of fuel. It doesn't smell putrid. I'm gonna do a fuel test real quick, see what this is like. So let's check the quality of this fuel real quick. I'm just going to take a little bit out, check the color. Doesn't look crazy yellow. Put a little bit on a block of wood. And then typically I would just tap it with just the spark of a lighter, but I don't have a lighter, so I'm going to have to use my torch for today. Just really quick. And she's burning good. So that gas is really good, actually. It's burning nice. It doesn't have a bad smell. That's a good indicator that your gas is good. So one step we don't have to do now. We have good gas in there, which is kind of surprising. But with good fuel, now we just need to make sure we're getting fuel to the carburetor. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's see. So here's the old fuel pump. It is, I think that's an aftermarket. Usually it would say made in Japan, and this brand says Tayadokin. Well, actually, doesn't sound like some aftermarket thing. Kind of sounds Japanese, but we'll check if we're getting fuel to the carb next, which is going in right. Oh, let's move my camera up. It's like right here. And there's always these little clamps on these Polarises that make it much more difficult. So we need some pliers. Get up in there. Move that back just a bit. And then a lot of times I have to use pliers to kind of pry them off. It's so difficult though. I need a little more room, and all this wild electric crap's in my way. It's bugging me at this point. I don't think any of it's even hooked up now that I'm looking at it. I think he was kind of right. I think they were using this as an on-off kill switch. I think they must have hooked it up to the ignition up there and then had... No, maybe they ran it back to the solenoid so that the solenoid... I don't know, dude. I genuinely don't know what kind of crazy thing they were playing, but it's definitely one of the most janky setups I have seen in a while. And I don't know, man. I don't know if it actually accomplished anything or what they were trying to do, but either way, let's get this out of the way. And now we have a functioning throttle and a functioning choke cable. And all we need to do is get off this, which has a few more zip ties here that are causing me a bit of issue. These real tiny zip ties. They could just get out of my way. Dude, I'm kind of excited. I did not expect this thing to actually be halfway decent. Okay, this is usually hooked up to the air box, I believe. Look at all that dirt in there. Oh, yeah. There, now it's coming out. Just needed roughed up. I believe this hooks up to the air box, but we don't have an air box, so it's just not going to happen. All right, now can I get to my fuel line? Yes. Okay. Half tempted to buy an airbox for this now. We'll see how she runs. It's going to be a real question of that. That's a good sign. Fuel's definitely making its way out. When I tip it, it's almost like it's priming. Well, interesting. Let's go ahead and see if she's pumping. Let me grab my catch can. Alright, got a catch can here. Change our hose angle a little bit. And then, man, she wants to flow no matter what. It's almost like this is just set to prime, like the fuel pump doesn't even do anything. I have to turn her over to see if she's squirting. Do that. Or not. Well, doesn't appear to have any pumping power. There's no on-off here, which is normally where you would decide to turn on and off the fuel. I don't see anything. They have the fuel filter actually coming in on only one of the let's see, the vacuum hose. Oh, interesting. Okay. So they plugged the reserve one because they don't have this hooked up. They just plugged the reserve one, hooked up only one with the fuel filter here. It's definitely hooked up correctly. But the carburetor's not really sealed. Oh man, that is a rusty carburetor. Oh man, I'm definitely gonna have to take that off. That thing looks crazy. All right. I was really hoping if we just got fuel to it, it might work, but that thing looks so grimy in there. Also, the fuel pump clearly isn't it's not spurting, but it is making its way. Let's see, at carburetor height, you can tell it flows, and it flows quite decent, almost like a prime. So, in my head, it's enough to fill up the carburetor, even if it's not, spurting like it's supposed to. All right, let's go ahead and maybe we just choke it. Let me hook this up real quick and try choking it. Alright, we're not wide open throttle now, and we need some choke, because it is cold. Might need some throttle. Yeah, nothing. Alright, carburetor's coming off. Yo, did you see the little gift you gave me? I got a working can of WD-40 here. There's definitely oil in there. You can hear it. Got so many dang Christmas songs stuck in my head. This is how I keep my fuel lines from giving me problems. Just enough to get it to stop dripping. That's all I care about. I'll try and find a way I can just move it out of the way then. There we go. That'll be good enough that I can get this carburetor out. Look how, oh man. Still got the through bolt here, but this side's completely missing. Alright, well, we have access to the carburetor, which is kind of cool. Look at this. What is going on here? Why is this going into here? That's not how it's supposed to go. Every other one I've seen, this hose runs into this hole right here. Why is this going there? That is not correct. I know that. Unless, maybe these old 330s are different. I'll have to look that up in the diagram. But every other one I've ever had, even the Sportsmans, they run into either this hole or this hole. They're just, yeah, I've never seen one run into that, but maybe that's just how the older 330s are. I'm just going to leave it for now. It's definitely interesting. Let's take this bolt off. Grab my GIS. Oh, there's the other part. We have both the through bolts. My bad. Didn't realize it. It's kind of nice. Just do this one clamp right here. Didn't feel like it's really on that well. Interesting. Should be easy to come off then. Oh, we'll find out. I'm not going to be able to wobble it because of this one, so we have to take that clamp off, which is way down on the under. What the heck? There's like just enough room, I think. Oh, yeah. I was lucky. I don't know why you would put it at that angle. It's like nowhere to get to it that way, but oh well. She came off. She looks destroyed, and that's interesting. I wonder what this fabric is jammed in here. It not supposed to be like that. Okay, now we can take off this guy. He's on there. Might need my pry fork to do it. Yeah, I'm not sure what you call this tool, but it came in some guys from the 60s toolbox that I bought at some estate sale or whatever, and it's definitely been my favorite tool for getting carburetors. I just usually use some type of pressure and I push off the engine to just pop them off like that. Look at that. That was like effortless because you have so much prying force. Oh, I need to take the vacuum hose off. But that tool is definitely my all-time favorite way of getting carburetors off most of the time, but even on sometimes. Especially on units like the LTZ 250. I've used it a lot for getting it off of or on for an LTZ 250. It's just quite effective. There's not much room on those to get in them, and I like it a lot. All right, come on. Now we have access to our carburetor. And let's see if there's any fuel in there. It's definitely full of fuel. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and leave the choke and throttle hooked up. I know the throttle's good. The choke feels good. Oh, man. Definitely feels like it's going to strip. Yep. That sucks. Try this one again. Yeah. These suckers are borked. Gonna have to grind into them to get them free. All right, so unfortunately, this one and this one are too far gone. I'm not gonna be able to get those out without grinding them down, so I'm gonna have to do that, which sucks. All right. Now you can take a flathead. Dang. Okay. Work it back and forth a little bit. That'll do it for that one. Oh, got it. Okay, so definitely a bit grimy in there. This is pretty thick with some old fuel that dried up. You can almost guarantee that the idle jet is stuck. I'm gonna see if this needle jet is. The needle jet is actually free. The float is free. That's good. Or not the needle jet. Let's see. The pilot in here. It's the one we really want to check, and then we'll also check the main jet. I have a feeling they're going to be pretty gunked up, so let's get these off. So I can see a tiny hole. Yeah, I can see through the main jet. It's definitely visible there. And then the pilot jet is way down in this one. Okay. There she is. This one, I suspect, is shot. I did do some damage to it, but luckily. Yeah, there's no way. Definitely not seeing through that idle jet, so let's go ahead and get our carb cleaner. I might need a needle for this one. That stuff's pretty thick. So then we'll spray all this out, and I think we'll be good. Definitely need to clean out the bottom of this bowl here because it is a little grimy. I'm going to clean this all out and kind of skip it. I'll see you in a bit. All right, it's going to have to be good enough for now. I don't know what the odds are that this old gasket actually seals again, but we're kind of just hoping on a prayer that it does seal. Because, yeah, that sucker's crusty. But here's to hoping. Go ahead and throw all these bolts. Well, wait. Be good if we got our jets in there first. You know, if it wasn't like 30 degrees, it would be such a nice day right now. You got the sun shining, the breeze blowing. Like, it's a good breeze if it was warm. But because it's so cold, it's not a nice breeze for me. I wish I could be like those people that enjoy the cold weather somehow, you know. Those guys that like swim in the freezing water, or the, you know, when it's snowy outside and they swim and enjoy it. I want to be that guy. But I'm not that guy. just like that. All right. Now, this is where I take my pry fork yet again. And they have this bar right here, and I go up against the backside, and I just put a little bit of pressure on it. And usually, it should kind of go right in. Today's being a little bit feisty, but there's one side. You don't want to push too hard because you'll damage it. I don't know why. It's really not going in that well. There we go. It just like popped in really hard. Now she's seated. I don't know why that was so rough. But it's in now. That's for sure. All right, sew this on there real quick. Okay. Carbs on there. We need our vacuum line and our fuel line. All right, jump the ignition. Give her a little bit of choke. And let's give her a go. Dang. She's running, baby. I turned the choke off and it killed it. It should need a little choke because it has no air box. So I kind of need to manipulate the choke to be just right if I'm going to get it to idle right. Well, she definitely runs. Alright, so I think it's safe to say that it's a running machine with the exception of not having an air box. I don't think she's going to idle without any resistance. You can see it kind of puffing out the back. I really don't think I'm going to be able to get on and ride it. Also, the clutch is definitely sticking because it's I don't believe it's supposed to spin your secondary. Well, it is accelerating quite a bit, so I guess if it was idling correct, it probably wouldn't be grabbing it. So if it was idling right, I think this would be fine. But anyways, all that to say, she's definitely running, but I don't think we can really test her out and ride her unless I somehow bump up the amount of gas or somehow find some type of way to add resistance to the carburetor, because right now there's no airbox. I might steal an airbox from my Trailblazer, but I really don't feel like it. I feel like there's too many things hooked up that I just don't want to deal with it, but I'll think about it. Yeah, I think it's safe to say she's not going to run right without that airbox resistance. But she definitely runs all right. Like, she can sit there and rev out for quite a while. I don't want to run it like crazy, but I mean, she's definitely a runner. But that's like I think it was a $60 to $70 airbox setup for the airbox, the lid, the intake boot, and also the scoop, which is part of the lid. All that plus the filter used, I think I found for like $60-$70. But we have 200 in it, and I think I'm just going to sell it. The engine does run great, and I mean,
as good as you can see here. I can show it running to anybody who wants it. I think it's mostly going to be a park quad anyways. So like if somebody wants to throw an airbox on there and ride it around, they can do whatever. But I think as it sits, I'm going to just show them it running like this. Say, hey, it's a parts cart. It's got working engine. All the electronic components, as far as the important ones, seem to be functioning right. And, you know, radiator, all this seems to be here. And we even got plastics and crappy seat, which, you know, whatever. But I think if I ask $500, I'll put it up for like $600, take anything above $500, and we'll call it a day. I mean, I can show it running. I can show all the electronics. I mean, not, you know, it's not this stuff, but I can show that the CDI and the ECM here work, which is a big deal, and show that the engine's not, you know, it's actually a running engine. So that altogether, I think as a unit should be worth $500-600 to somebody that wants to use it to really put together a nice 330 is my thinking, because I'm not going to get on this and rip this thing, not without an airbox, and I really don't want to spend $60 for an airbox. So what do you think? Is that dumb? Should I buy the airbox and try and sell it as like a running unit? I just don't think it's worth my time. We're only making a few $100. I already spent, you know, a couple hours just getting this all together and making sure she runs and everything. And so with the way it is, should I just sell it $500-600, or should I try and, I mean, even if I get it running, what are we going to make? $800-900 with the side plastics missing and everything? I really think at the end of the day, we just sell it as a parts cart. But it is nice to see. It is a ripper. As far as the engine goes, it's running. I mean, it doesn't even have a muffler. It doesn't have an airbox, and it's still running. So it is a runner. And yeah, I can't verify transmission stuff like that, but I can tell, you know, things aren't locked up in there. But for $500-600, I think somebody will be happy to really put together a nice quad, hopefully, or use it for parts or whatever. Because you can sell, I mean, just the carb and the electronic components alone are worth $300 to $400 alone. So I think selling it for $5 to $6 as a unit gives somebody a chance to even make a little bit of money off of it if they're going to part it out or whatever, but not much. So at the end of the day, I think it was a good deal. I think it is a runner, and yeah, let me know what you guys think. Was it worth my time? I mean, it was right down the road. I picked it up. The guy was cool, and we have a couple hours and, you know, just seeing if she runs. But at the end of the day, I think I'm going to make maybe $300 to $400, and, you know, we did it in a few hours. So I think that's a win. Let me know what you guys think. I will see you in the next one. Peace out.